let's start. Okay, so I'm French, so my apology for my accent, for the mistake I will made. So I am Hartmann, the founder of Studio Abi, and I'm glad to be here. It's a wonderful day for me, the dream day for my professional life. I would like to thank the organization team, Anna, Chiara, Juliette, of course the Museum of Cholet, which welcomes us, and especially Aude Le Guenec, because she accepted to talk to me because I sent her an email during the first lockdown, March 2020, yeah, and I'm no one in this industry, in this research. I'm a consultant for brands, fashion brands, luxury brands in France, and this project is my dream project. So I will share with you, and I hope you will like it. Studio Abi. Studio Abi, it's a non-profit organization created in January 2020, and its object is to encourage, accompany, and value children in the construction of their identity and the exploration of the world by playing with clothes. Around me, I observe children, but also me as a young girl. I like to play with clothes, and I wonder why I like to play with clothes. And I would like to share with children the capacity of wonder. We use the game of dreaming to explore the world, to build oneself up, to discover art, and to renew the approach to clothing outside the dictate of fashion. It's not a fashion project. It's really a project with clothes, with textile, and emotional, sensorial ways to approach textile and how it could be a medium to explore the world. Okay, so it starts in France, near Paris, in Pantin. I don't know if you know Pantin, but we can find Chanel, you can find Hermès, you can find the National Dance Center. You can find Eurocostume, a big place for costume for theater and cinema in France. So it's a rich area, but nobody knows. So it's near now from 19M. I don't know if you know 19M. It's a place you make together art method of Chanel. Voilà. Fabrics to learn about the world. It's our mojo to improve the link between children, people, and textile. Because we believe that fabric and clothing in particular are exceptional sensory media, accessible to all, because we are close today, even if I like to be nude, but not with you. Until now, suspense for tonight. Representing a perfect season to enter the world of knowledge. Studio Abi believe of emancipation motivated by curiosity. That's the first tool for us. The quest to share beauty, and when you talk about beauty, is not yes, that beautiful or not, but the capacity of for wonder for everyone. with the vocation of creating link between words, between people, and revealing the power of fabric to all. And our process is very simple, is to approach clothes and textile with magical powers of them. So first we have clothes, fabrics. That's very simple. And we start with what we have at home, and we begin a journey through time, space, knowledge, imagination, with the game of these guys. Okay, so it's a crazy challenge for us to prove that clothes are have values, emotional values, and how we can discover other discipline, other area, other country, other people, just with clothes. And after this first journey, we can start to have ideas, exploration, invention, and this exploration together can build meeting and self-affirmation. So I will show you after that our methods, but to understand what the project of Studio Abi is really, is also the, how do you know, even in French, I don't. The aim, yes, and also is to open ecosystem, because we don't own this system. We have no a priori about what can we do if we follow rules or not. We're quite naive, but we assume that. But we want that this project will be improved by professionals, by specialists, and we want to create this open ecosystem between research, industry, and practice. And now we have a lot of partners in artistic and cultural education, some town, but also the states, the Ministry of Culture, of Education, support us. Some institutional, private and public institutions support us, and of course the research with Aude, and it's that's why I'm here today with you. I have some notes, it's okay. And yes, why we want to build this open ecosystem, it's to bring together public and private institutional partners to build a new paradigm together. Our inspiration, everything could be an inspiration for us. We like to discover, we are explorers. So Vivienne Westwood used to be a teacher for young children, but also Bruno Munari, an Italian designer and architect, Jacques Rancière, a French philosopher, and of course Emmanuel Coccia, for example. So it's very large. Our playground at school from yesterday to today. By example, when we start this project, we collect some pictures that people give to us spontaneously, and now we have a collector, photographic funds with this picture, which represent a very precious inspiration for us, and we can see how fashion of these guys change between the 19th and today. For example, this picture is a classroom of my young kid, and how can see and how you say today the play of this guy is very, very poor, and you have a lot of princess, a lot of superhero, and of course the princess are girl and the superhero are a boy. Okay, it's a shame, but we work to enlarge the representations. So the program also is from home to cultural venues, and we are lucky in France and particularly in Paris, and we can use the cultural offer to inspire children with textile, and we can see how when they are very, very young, if you can give them the fabrics, they can play spontaneous with them, and to create house, but also costume with jewelry, with fabrics, and it's quite inspiring for us. But also we can use as a great event in art like Christo and Jean-Claude event. And I don't know if you can touch this event last year, but it's a piece that was given to visitors after the visit. Yes, it's very important for us to. Peut-être que j'ai sauté des. Ah oui, pardon. Voilà. So from to cultural venue, from shops to social networks is very interesting to look around us, and how these guys offer is the same between independent bookstore, Le Bon Marché, and H&M, and of course also on social network. So we propose a workshop, very sweet steps methodology, simple but I think efficient. First, discovering what exists, manipulating materials by playing with them, mastering what exists, daring, tasting, asserting oneself by experimenting, and at last, freeing yourself from the existing, imagine, create, invent, share. Generally, a workshop lasting between 1 or 2 hours, and is quite a lot for children between 3 and 6, but it works, and the time was never a problem for us. And we don't want to make one-time workshop. It's a process. It's to have time and to have the kids' time. It's very important to be children focus. And the methodology is around 5 sessions with highlights. First, exchange based on documentation, and we have a lot of documentation. Then free discovery of the activity, so they can touch, they can manipulate, they can work. Okay, that's okay. That's kids. And now I find a job for my kids because they could work at theater as a 5th floor, and they're wonderful. 2, experimentation, individual and or collective creation with guidance. And 3, return to the session to broaden the representation with a book support. Yes, because we want to connect textile with books, with other cultural material. Work with only book, I think it could be a problem for a lot of children who don't have the culture of books, and book could afraid of us and them. So when we are in a workshop, and after the the party who excites them. We finish with a story about clothes, about playing with clothes, and they love that. And each workshop calls on and stimulates the children's motors and sensory skills, observation, listening and expression, but also collaboration and experimentation. So I will show you the photo of the workshop and the case study, but after that, I want you touch the materials with them create, and we are lucky because they can work with handling fabric, buttons, embroidery, and other material from the dormant stocks of the most beautiful house of craftsmanship to children, because in our open ecosystem, we work with intermediaires which convince manufacturer to give us the materials that don't want anymore or they're forgotten, and okay, yeah, we can give them, and we transform them for, it depends the age of the children, but you can transform them with in a memory game. So this material is from nursery, for example, for children between 1 or 2 years old, but also after for older children, they could create with embroidery from Gouvernel manufacture. You can smell it. It smells the not the cellar, the attic, the premier, voilà, the attic. And the price is in French from 70s. But is still wonderful, and for children, but also for adults, it's represent treasures. Yeah. And also in Pantin, we are lucky because we have la Compagnie Française du Bouton, and we convince them to give us a lot of button, but also the raw material to make button, and it's interesting to children to understand the process, how to fabric button and the material, nacre, wood, milk, cassie, and they're quite exciting to discover that. Okay. So. The first project we made, the first is in kindergarten, just before the first lockdown, and I talked to a teacher to say, okay, I have a project, but I have to improve it. Could you give me your class for 20, 30 minutes? I promise they won't be injured, I hope. And I will offer them to manipulate old fabrics from grandmother of my friends, my own grandparents, and let's see what's happened. And I was very surprised because the teacher said, okay, yeah, great. Are you sure? So it's at the kindergarten in the motor room. I don't know if in England this special room for sport that exists, but in France it's a very common space in school. We separate the class in 2 groups. So around 12 children, and they can do what they want, whatever they want with fabrics.
It's nursery to make it. It's school already for the kids.
Yeah,
they are not. It's not the crèche, it's
Yeah. I will share with you another case study in nursery.
that's the equivalent of nursery.
Okay.
The
Okay. Now it's around children are 4 and 5 years old, and the test will be a success. They want to create home. They use the elements they find in the place, but other people want to make a dress or a superhero cape, or just have a textile exploration by touching them, and it was very, very cool. So lockdown was coming, and said, okay, Studio Abi is dead. Mince. And after one day, we are completely lost. I wrote to the teacher and said, we can find another solution to improve this project. And in fact, the lockdown was the perfect environment to show that this project is available, was interest for everybody, because we can take what we have at home, and everybody have clothes at home or other textile, but we can improve this project in this time. So the workshop continue in the form of challenge during the lockdown, a new challenge by week, with great success among the children, but also family, because everybody was sad and quite anxious, and we understand. And the sister and brothers of the child of the classroom want to play with them, and for each challenge we have aesthetic, artistic, cultural references, and we have a rule. For example, the aim was to create with what we have at home, to take a new look, or at what we have, and to find new use for it. For example, in your left, camouflage, okay, and and for the right side, incognito challenges. And when you propose that to children, the superhero and princess go away. So the third step was to getting out of the way and to create and share new narratives. So on your left, it was how the teacher collects some information from pictures from all families, and organize a game to resolve the challenge. For example, défi camouflage challenge. And after that, the challenge were very, everybody likes the challenge, and some parents want to organize an exhibition in a restaurant after the lockdown to share the experience and the creation, that's the most important, of the children during the lockdown. In other case study, in other class, 1 year after, so the idea was the same, but to introduce art in this process. So the first step was the same, sensory awareness from textile and from materials, with a free playful exploration of fabrics in the classroom. Second step, experimenting with material and techniques, and it's important to to prove and to show to the children after the first step to play free, completely free, because they feel stuck because they don't have any techniques and they want to improve. So that's the moment for them to discover how to fabric a clothes and which material and the origin of the material. But at the first, it's very important to raise the awareness of clothing. So it's very, in the process, drawing is very important for us. And the rule was to draw yourself in your best disguise. And I don't know if you can read, but at the left, it's an extraterrestrial with a pink trousers. It's a mousquetaire, a Gruffalo. I don't know if you know the character. Yeah, Gruffalo. And the last one is in the sea, shark. It's too complicated. Sorry. The second step after the drawing is to experiment with fabrics and to test the resistance, the softness of the fabrics, artistic practice, texture and textile patterns, fine motor skills, imagination, creativity, self-confidence is very important for us. And for example, I like this photo because two children say, okay, yeah, you can hear the fabric like that. It look good on you. Like stylists, but we didn't give some information or so. They was very spontaneous from them. And the third step of these case studies is to getting out of the way and to improve fabric with body movement, fabrics, and we play to be the statues. And the last moment of the session, it's always a quiet moment to share experience, to share new narratives with book support or costume. It's important for us to show them other references and to get out the legitimate culture. I love Matisse, I love Picasso, I love Calder, but in France, the first artist we present to young children, that's always the same. So I think it's quite boring to present La Joconde to 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 12 children old. So I like to choose new references like Albertine Zucco, a great illustrator, and she makes a lot of books and exhibition. And for example, this image, this picture come from a book, and I like because at first you can see the shadow, and it's again we play with children to imagine, to guess what is in fact. Another, you can play if you want. Another one. So Albertine, but also modern textile feminist artists like Raymond Larcier, but the historical one like Sonia Delaunay. But also, I don't know if you know Joan Goodman. It's an artist. I will share with you after a lot of iconographic support if you want to have a look. So another case study is in a primary school with children around 6 and 8 years old. That's the same process, but of course we can go faster and stronger in the discovering of techniques of how to collaborate together and to change the representation of clothes, the code about how to dress in the certain situation or not. So discovering one text and treasures, questioning via iconographic support, bordering and representation. Yes, because we can work with fashion picture, but another and they like it, and after that they could make that. So there are a lot of taste. Okay. The second step is to improve the material together. So the rule was to dressing in fine clothes. In France, is s'habiller dans le beau drap. To learn manipulate fabrics around one own body and the body of others. So it creates other link between children in the classroom and inventing seamless clothing. Always in the second step is to experimenting with material and techniques, but at this step we don't talk about technique. They have to improve themselves, and after that they say, okay, I can't, but oh no, you can, but you have to learn a technique. You have to improve with tools and some rules. So if they want to go far, it's not a problem for us to learn after a technique. So inventing the clothes of the future was the theme of the session, and discovery of material and experimentation with technique. And why the future is to have a reflection about the clothes and functional aspect, but also other uses. And for children, it's very easy to imagine other uses for clothes. For example, you have a superhero tunic, but with shoulder pads. So it's powerful, and it's not pink, but it was a creation of a girl. So it's possible. And the last step is to create and share new narratives by learning new techniques. And was wonderful because they learn about prototyping, partner making around the notion of geometry to imagine the clothes of the future. And the teacher was, it's amazing. Okay, we can learn geometry, volumes, 2D, 3D in 1 hour. And they want to be involved and to create and to have a result at the end of the session. Some result of this workshop. For example, the left one, a picture shirt. The child gives his name of this creation, a head dress mask, or a woman toga with pockets. And after that, the children said, they didn't have pockets. Oh, it's not possible. And so it's why it's a journey in history or in geography, because after that they want to discover if they have pocket or not, when and where pockets were invited, for women or not. It's the beginning. It's a play with fabric and clothing. I can be judge of my own project, so I can share with you the testimonial of parents and teachers about this project. Well, they like very much. Okay. But it's too hard to. But it's interesting in this testimony is the teacher didn't talk about these own children, but another child who joined us for one workshop, but a child apparently with problem. And for this workshop, I didn't notice that this child had problem. She was completely integrated in the activity with other people, with other children, and the teacher shared with me these observations. And for this case, what's interesting is it's a testimonial I received 1 year after the workshop, and I don't meet parents. I work with a teacher. I work with academic responsible. I don't know, but I don't meet parents. I never meet parents for school. It's not the same at nursery, but for school it's never happened. I don't want to have contact with parents. I am a parent, it's full. So, but she found me on social network, and she, of course, is a mother, but she shared with me the impact of the workshop on her boy, and she describes he develops an appetite for beautiful things, and he has now a treasure box, and she learned that they can't throw a trash any button, any textile. He want to keep everything. So the last case study, it's a nursery, because at the first step of my project, I didn't know it would be possible to work with very, very young children. And I have the opportunity to test the methodology at nursery with 2 and 3 children years old. But after, even with children age of 1 year old, it will be possible, and with some results of experimentation. For example, we learned that how the fabrics and the sensory exploration of fabric by children could improve too the relation between parents and children, and also the relation between the team of the nursery and parents. and this is a great discovery for us. But also for the older children, the exploration, tactile exploration through games to make older children aware of techniques, aware of the critical thinking, because at this age they are already critical. They are French, so they are critical. And seeking and developing the imagination. So, for example, voilà, that's the memory game we built for them. And I build another, and they keep it at the nursery. And it could be full from grandmother coat, but also whatever. And after, it's the same methodology, so they can play with textile and inventing new fiction, new playground, and no princess at all, no superhero at all. They are dead. Kill them. And we finish with reading time. And also, the bibliography is prepared by me, and sometimes we can work with library. For example, for events, last year is about metamorphosis, so it was perfect for us. So application for the Studio Abi is of course, workshop for children in school, nursery, cultural bodies, and alternative place. But also, we want to share our observation and experimentation with professionals from early childhood, teachers, students, researchers like you, but also in textile industry. And of course, for that, we create a lot of content for conference. We made a conference in front of 100 children in the Cité des Sciences et de l'Industrie, Industry and Science City in Paris. We have collect a lot of photography, so if you want to have a look on that exhibition and publication. And you have a project for a book, and I can see some story. Well, sorry, it's in French, but it will be soon in Korean. Another one, but you can see the drawing. And you can learn French, huh? So I have and I didn't know, but I have the Queen. Oh no, one of no. To the conclusion, for us, it's a very simple idea. Textile education is cultural education. Studio Abi offers an original and tailor-made, because you are modest and humble, practical textile education to children, but also to adults, to initiate to the sensuality of textile materials and to the richness of the textile vocabulary and manufacturing techniques, to appropriate the magical dimension of fabrics by playing dress up, to liberate and encourage the imagination and creativity through artistic practice and experimentation, to train the eye, the hand, and the critical mind, to encourage questioning and dialogue, to approach the notion of upcycling, the proof, to enhance the family and intergenerational culture capital through fabrics, and raising awareness of difference and inclusion by decoding contemporary clothing and putting the evolution of clothing into historical and geographical perspective. To sum up, reverse the direction of circulation of the public, inviting them not to leave the museum through the gift shop, but to enter it through their wardrobes. Wow.